are live in
Sweet.
action with Summer from Wichita. Summer is the franchise owner of Floor Coverings International in Wichita and a client of ours here at Traffik Digital. And we're excited to have her on today. And we're just going to ask a few questions and chit chat a little bit about flooring and her experience and what made her interested in getting into the floors. So Summer, if you want to tell us, just starting out, just a little about yourself and what brought you into the flooring business, because I know that was a new transition for you in the last few months.
It was a huge transition. Actually, I'm still a mom, but I
That's good.
continue. That sounds so funny. I've been a mom, for 17 years, at home with my boys. I have two boys and been raising them. And we had a family business and we decided to sell that family business this past summer. And my husband looked at me and he was like, what do you want to do? Because our family business was from his side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm creative. I love design. I am just one of those people where I see things and I want to see it all come together. And I want to help people with the same idea of having a vision for their home and then bringing it to life. So we looked and I fell in love with Floor Coverings International, the environment, with the people, with the products. It just really was a good fit for me. I could still be home with my boys, but also have that business outside of my house and be able to help people take their ideas and truly make them come to life. So it just seemed like a great fit for me as far as a new business.
Awesome. And the flooring world is happy to have you.
Thanks.
So you mentioned something there that I wanted to touch on a little bit. You talked about the design aspects. And what I found in my experience is that some people kind of have a good idea of what they want already. Whether it's misguided or not is another question, because we have people come in all the time that buy floors and I kind of, I don't know about that. But
sure.
At the end of the day, they got to live with it, not me. So as much as I try to provide a little bit of guidance, it's guidance. It's, you don't want to push too hard and say, oh, that's not going to look very good. So tell me a little bit about your design experience and how you go about interjecting that carefully with the customers so that, you're not insulting them, but they're appreciating the value that you might bring to the table from a design aspect.
Well, absolutely. I feel like when I present myself to customers, I definitely want to hear their story. I want to hear what they don't like about their current floors, what they envision their new floors to look like. Do they want to, brighten a room up, soften a room up, or make certain colors work, or, even they might think they want to have solid hardwood floors, but in reality, they just want the look of it. They don't really want to necessarily, pay an arm and a leg and
the price tag for
thumb for the hardwood floors. So just by getting to know my customer and building that relationship, and I think that's the most important part to me, is building that relationship with them so that I can truly understand where their mind is at and what they see overall. Because I don't want to just walk in and be like, okay, you want hardwood floors? Great. Let's get you hardwood floors. And then, end of story. It's not like that. It's so much more. It's so much more building that, relationship with them and really getting to know what their style is. Because we all have our own styles, but obviously not everyone's going to like what I like, and vice versa. Right. So I just really want to build on what they say to me so that I can, in turn, give them back what they're wanting.
And how has that been received so far?
So far, it goes great. It's kind of crazy. So many of my customers have said to me, I feel like I have a friend rather than somebody who's working for me. And I love that because, I don't want to just be an employee to them or someone they hire, or, I love that they'll still call or text me, wish me a Merry Christmas, or just keep in touch with everyday stuff that they have going on. It's just been really cool to have that part of the relationship expand outside of me just doing their floors.
Well, that's great. And I have no doubt that if you're able to make that connection with people, not only is there a benefit in that you enjoy your job and the client's going to be happy with your work, the ancillary effect is going to be, and I'm sure I see you smiling because I think you know what I'm about to say,
Uh-huh.
referrals. I mean,
Yes,
clearly word of mouth, there's no better, you know, referral to get than, you know, a word of mouth referral from a happy customer. And so
absolutely.
I imagine that as you continue to build your business, you'll start to see the benefits of connecting with those clients and obviously doing a good job for them and keeping that sort of personal relationship. I know you're just getting into the business in November, so you probably haven't gotten to experience too much of that yet. But is that kind of in your mind, or you're just kind of doing you and it is what it
Oh,
is?
no, absolutely. I want people to think of me when they have a friend or a family member or their neighbor, say, "Oh, I'm wanting to do some floors." I want them to say, "Oh, I have the perfect person for you." Or, make the recommendation that she came and did my floors and it was a great experience. Or just the fact that they remember me. I want them to remember me. I want them to remember what I did for them and their experience with me so that they can pass that on to, whomever they're talking to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So your experience in the car business, I know it was your husband's business, you said, and you were home, but I know that most wives at least have some input of what is going on in the
Well,
business. So did you have a role in the previous business, and did any of that experience trickle into what you're doing now?
absolutely. Like I've told you, we were in a GM, we had a GM dealership, and the business was in business for 65 years. And probably the last 20 plus years, we took over the business. And the last 2 years, I actually worked at the dealership. And I did the F&I, which is finance and insurance. I would sell finance and insurance. And I ran all of our social media. I did all of our office work towards the end. I was running the office and the window. I mean, I would even go work in the body shop and wash a car. I didn't have a problem helping out wherever we needed to be help out. I would rearrange the dealership lot. I'd sell a car. Like, it was wherever I was, like a ping pong, wherever I was needed, I would go. And it was a lot of fun, but it was kind of very bittersweet that we closed it, or sold it, I should say. And then just when I was starting to get involved really with the dealership. But I forgot your question, David.
My question was about your experience in the dealership, and really what I was getting at is I was curious because we were talking about referrals and word of mouth
Oh,
and things like
yeah.
that. And so what I was getting to was going to be, did you have any experience at the dealership with those touch points that can keep you top of mind with customers so that they are referring you to their friends and family and or coming back as repeat customers in the future? Did you guys at the dealership do anything like that? And do you have any plans to do any of that kind of stuff with the new business now that you're in the flooring industry?
Yes, absolutely. We tried to since we were a local business ourselves, we tried to put ourselves into the local environment and use our, customers that were ours. We would try to reach out to them and use them for business, purposes, like I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of thing. And as far as here with the new business, I definitely want to get involved in more things going on in our town of Wichita. Sometimes it sounds like it's a big place, especially when you compare it to where our dealership was that only had like 30,000 people. This place has 350,000 people, but we're so spread out that it doesn't feel like it's that big truly. So,
I looked at the map, since we've been working together, and I'm amazed at exactly how crisscrossed everything. It's like everything is parallel and perpendicular. It's like
yes, everything
all the
is
way into the
square.
suburbs. Usually once you get out of the city area, you start getting curved streets and everything. Nope, not in Wichita. It's just straight up and down
Yeah.
the street.
There are two streets that are curvy and they literally turn in, like it starts as one street and then it turns into another. Threw me off for, I can't tell you how many years. I hate that street. I'm just like, I need to stick with my 90-degree angles.
We've got a couple of streets in Raleigh that, I mean, there are a lot of streets in Raleigh that are curvy, but we've got a bunch of places where it's a main road and then there may be a little bit of a curve and then it just switches to a new street name on the other side of an intersection. And
Yeah,
we're like,
what
well,
is
wait
that?
a minute. I was on this road, now I'm on that road. And of course, I've been here for 25 years, so I got it now. But like people come here and they're like, which street am I on? I thought you were on
Yeah,
this street or that street. It's very confusing.
exactly. Yeah, they can be going in the opposite direction and they're totally different streets at the crossroad. And
Oh,
it's
see,
just
I was
like,
just blaming Raleigh, but I guess it happens
no,
other
it's
places.
Wichita.
Fair enough. So the answer to your question, yes, you do have a plan for continuing those touch points. I know it's early in the business, but have you sort of mapped that out at all a little bit? Any kind of a email program or anything like that?
Not right now as far as like an email program. I'm slowly building my email list back up. I haven't really reached out to our car people or dealership customers per
Do you still
se.
have that database? Is that something you have access to? No.
I don't. It went with the business when we sold it.
I mean, that's fair.
So yeah, they kind of wanted to have access to all of it, which I get. And it was part of like the agreement that we wouldn't cross over onto their social media, even though I had built it all up and did all that good stuff. So I'm kind of starting from scratch. I mean, I have my own personal stuff that I've, made, how you make friends on Facebook or whatever. And I'm able to reach out to them that way and let them know what I'm doing. But I'm kind of starting fresh with a database per se.
Yeah, that's cool. I wondered if they did. There's some tricks that we could use in your marketing that if we did have a database, there's custom audiences that you can create and lookalike audiences you can create off of those things in the back of Facebook. Could be cool. It's a nice little trick, but that's something we'll have to build up. Or it's possible we could run campaigns specifically to try to get email addresses to build it up. But that's something we'll get into as we start developing our out a little bit more. I know we're at the very beginning, so we're just kind of getting started with a couple, but I got some more tricks up my sleeve. We're gonna have some fun yet.
Ready.
I promise you. So you told me a little bit about why you chose floor coverings and why get into flooring in particular. So far in your experience, I know it's been a short time, 3 months. What have you learned?
What have I learned? The flooring business is much more complicated than you realize. You think it's just like,
isn't it though?
Yeah, I'll sell some floors. I'll pick out some floors and we'll just throw them down, call it good. Yeah, no. You've got to have really good installers. You have to have good relationships with your installers. You have to trust those installers like they're your lifeline.
Yeah,
because
they really are.
Yeah, I've had some experiences this morning with installers and I had to fire him. Like it was in the middle of the job. And it was sad because I want my customers to trust me when I say this person is going to do a fantastic job. I believe in him. I believe in his work. And then they come and they just do crap work.
That's the hardest part of the business for us. We're at the end of the day, I mean, you and I are not going in and laying floors. Right. So we need partnerships with these either subcontractors if you use subcontractors, or if you have your own guys, you're still counting on your own guys. They still need to be relied upon. And your product at the end of the day is only as good as the people that are showing up to put it in. And
Absolutely.
These aren't always college educated kind of guys. So we're relying a big piece of our business on on these installers who are experienced at what they do, but when they're subcontractors, first off, they're kind of blow like the wind. It feels like sometimes,
Yeah.
we have subs that will show up and do a bang up job the first couple times. Then they think you got your account, and next thing you know, the work starts to wane, and you're struggling to like manage them, and they're making more mistakes, and then you pay them out on a job, then you find out there's more mistakes, and then you're on the hook for it, and you got and then they disappear.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that we struggle with every day that makes it difficult. Is your plan to continue to use subcontractors for the foreseeable future? Do you think you might want to get to the business to a point where you would hire your own team internally so you can manage them? Like, what's your plan?
Yeah, I would love to have my own team. I don't necessarily want to rely on a subcontractor for my different projects. I just truly would love to be like, I have a solid crew, and even build from there and have a second crew so that I can, be going in different directions and know that XYZ is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I know what their work is going to look like when it's done. So I hope to eventually get there, but as you know, I need to have some
You need sales.
appointments.
Yeah, appointments and sales. Yeah, definitely. So your plan would be long range to eventually try to get your own guys, and maybe a project manager or someone's running around guys and making sure that everything's going smooth on the job, communicating with the client. One of the issues that we've had a few times, well, on the regular, we have a lot of Hispanic workers here.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times we have a language barrier between our clients and the guys showing up to do the work. And that can be a little problematic as well. And so there can be miscommunication. And, we've got someone in the office now who speaks Spanish, which helps sometimes, but still, we're not standing over them every minute while they're in a house. They speak enough English to try to communicate with the client. We've had a few circumstances where there's been a miscommunication, and the customer has been frustrated because the guy's not speaking English, or they think they told them something and the guy nodded but he didn't get it.
Right.
So we have to deal with that sometimes.
Luckily,
as well.
I haven't crossed that line yet, but my husband Kev, he's been learning Spanish for the past 2 years.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that'll help if I ever
got that Bible going.
Yeah.
Rosetta Stone.
He's always talking to me like full conversation, and I'm like, I have no idea. Hola, like hello.
Hola, ¿dónde está el baño?
Right? Like the minimum, the bare minimum I can get down, but he just gets louder and louder. I'm like, babe, it doesn't matter how loud you get, I still don't understand. So
I got nothing.
He sends me messages all in Spanish, and I'm like, translate? Okay.
I got just enough to understand like every 6 to 8 word.
Yeah.
And then that's about it. So the rest of it, I'm just trying to like piece it together. I was like, I think he said 14.
Yeah, like you could pick words out. Yeah, like you can pick some words out of that.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
I know enough basics from Spanish in sophomore year and junior year of high school, I think.
Right.
I mess with it. I bought the books like 5 times. I buy the book. I'm like, I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna teach myself. I'm gonna just do it. And then I don't.
Yeah.
I get like 3 days into it, and I'm like, you really need to have someone to talk to.
That I think would help. Like he literally studies every single day, gets on the computer, does the work, everything, and you can hear him, and he's answering the quizzes and blah 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 and talking as well. And I think you need someone to talk to though, because real conversation.
How to install floors. That's what you need to teach them.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Hey Kev, guess what? You're going to 123 Main Street today. You got about 1,000 feet of LVP your land. Good luck. See you at 5.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Not so much, huh?
No, not today.
Well, that's awesome. So I know we talk, obviously we're working together on the marketing side of things, and I'm excited about that. And so far, we're seeing some action, but I'm anxious to start converting some of these into appointments. That's really the big thing, to get you out running about. Are you planning to do all the sales yourself for the foreseeable future? You seem like a people person, and you probably enjoy that side of it.
I do. I really do enjoy the side of sales. If we get to a point where we want to add on another design associate, is what we call them, then I'm going to bring Kevin on as a second salesperson. And then I have so many of my girlfriends coming out of the woodworks. Like, I want to do this. I want to do this. And I'm like, well, I'm not quite ready yet. Like, I need to build this up a little bit. And then, yes, come work for me. But I definitely would like to see myself grow.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure you'll do fine with the sales. Like, what are your conversion ratios so far when you get into the house? Like, what do you find in your closing rate is?
My closing rate right now, I think it was 47%.
Right about 50%. That's usually what we aim for.
Yeah.
I think Jen, who you talked to, I think we were closing right about 55, 60%.
That's awesome.
Well, it was awesome, except for then we get all these jobs, and then we
Like,
got overwhelmed with all the jobs, and you're like, oh my God, like what's going on here? I mean, we
great.
went from, about 50,000 to 250,000 in 4 months. And I'm not saying anything's too fast. I mean, we got all the jobs done, but it seemed a little chaotic there for a while. I'm glad that we decided to slow it back down a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a lot to deal with.
I had a Corey, is that his name, reach out to me.
Yeah, that's my business partner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he reached out to me about the luxury vinyl planks products.
The Stair Cap.
Yeah. So he was going to send me some product lists and pricing and stuff like that. So
did he reach out to you first? I can't remember. Is that how we got in touch with you? Oh, okay.
Yes,
yeah.
he did. And then
we got actually we just ordered 1,000 boxes. We're getting ready to send samples of those.
Oh, nice.
Out now. We sent a bunch out last week. They're just starting to arrive at places. And like as soon as they got there, people started calling, placing orders, which is cool. It's a really good product. So we're definitely excited about that. And I think it'll be a benefit to your business. Obviously, we're marketing them as well, which is pretty smooth. But
yeah,
it's just I can't tell you like how smooth that thing looks when it gets in the house compared to the garbage that they make now. Those lips going up over the steps. Oh my God, I hate it. It's just so flimsy too.
Really?
Yeah, I had it at my beach house. I had it at another friend's house. I had a friend that was moving, and we did her floors so she could sell the place. And we did the steps because her cat had chewed up the carpet. And so we did those. This was over the summertime, like in July, before we had the product ready. And we did that, the normal plastic, whatever garbage stair cap over the top of it. And it hurts your feet when you walk down it.
Yeah. And like it literally looks like plastic to me too.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll love this one. So I'll make sure we go ahead and get a sample out to you here soon too. I think you really like that. I think your customers will like that. I still can't believe the labor rate you gave in the comment the other day. I was like, holy mackerel. Like, no way.
I know. They charge so
Of course,
much.
Noticed that client disappeared. Like it was like crickets. I tried to resuscitate them, but it didn't work out.
Don't.
Yeah. So one of the things I have we have what's called an ISA, which is our inside sales agents. And they will be the ones that are doing most of the follow-up for the leads. In the beginning, I'm doing it all because I want to get a feel for what's going on in your market.
Oh, okay.
Eventually they'll take it over. So I've got like 3 of them right now, and they are now going back through not old leads because we just started last week, but over the last few days. And because sometimes the conversations will just die out, and if you just leave them, they never come back. But if we get back on them again, they'll like, oh yeah, I'm still interested. So we're working on making sure that we don't miss any of those, because for us, obviously, that's leaving meat on the bone. We don't want to do that.
Oh no.
We like our meat.
Yep.
I'm a meater.
Yeah, we are too.
Meat pays the bills too around here.
Uh-huh.
So I guess, I kind of touched on it, and you kind of mentioned that you had an issue. I think it'd be great to touch on get maybe a little more details on what that issue was specifically. So what happened this morning with this installer, like more details, like what was the problem?
Okay, so my installer was putting in 12 by 24-inch travertine. And it's beautiful tile. And the customer's house, it was their basement, and their basement floor was like not even by any means. So he put leveler down and he said that's not working. So he put some thin set over the top of it, and then he used the Stratamat. Great. And then he, did the adhesive and did all the mortar and the grouting of everything. And it looks beautiful. But then when you step back, the tiles weren't butting up. Like they'd pop up just a little bit, like a hair lip, little bit. And it was all over every single room he had done. So I had
How much of the house had you done?
conversations. Yeah, what?
How much of the house had you done?
I had done a bar, a laundry room, a hall, a mud room, and there still was a bedroom and a bathroom left to be done.
Jeez.
And literally the bedroom, it's like a dome. It's like high point and then it curves down. So when you see the baseboard is like this, and it goes up and then it goes down, but it was carpet, so you couldn't see it. So when we pulled it all out, he was having to level out those two sides to bring it up to the high, middle.
Yep.
Well, my customers have called me like 3 times and they're like, don't think this guy knows what he's doing. I'm looking at this and like things are popping up and the tile is like not level and he doesn't know what to do with the end cap of the staircase. And he's just like, I'm done. He's left a mess on my back porch, and this list went on and on and on. It's like, okay, let's do this. Mark the places that you're not happy with. I'll come in, I'll bring them in, and we'll get this taken care of. It's this morning they called me and said, there are so many pieces of tape on the tile that my wife is just not happy. And he's like, I just want my wife happy. I'm like, okay, let me make some phone calls. So I called my tile rep and I was just like, Chance, is this right? I mean, is this tile not known for being level? Is it supposed to have texture and pop up here and there? And he's going to actually come out tomorrow morning and meet with me to take a look at the floor. And then I called another tile guy, and Chewy, he's going to come out and look at the flooring as well to see if it's something that can be fixed or if it just has to come all the way out.
That's what I'm worried about. Oh no.
Oh my God, I know, because it's not cheap tile. It's like,
oh yeah, that travertine.
That thick tile, and
that's an ungodly amount of work getting the tile out.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that definitely could be turned into an expensive issue. Hopefully you haven't paid the guy who did that stuff yet, but
I paid him $1,000. I gave him some money down because I don't know how people.
Let me guess, he gave you some story about how he needed money to send to his homeland to yada yada yada.
Like my dad just got. No,
we get these stories all the time from these guys.
He's just like, I don't have any money and my bank account.
I need gas in my car, dude. I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all.
Are you kidding me? Like,
don't. That's not your problem.
No.
Unfortunately, we had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah. So
what happens is once they got some money, then they can just walk away and they're like, whatever.
Oh, and that was the other thing too. He just walked away from the job to do another job. And I asked him, when are you coming back? He goes, I'll let you know in a few days. No, that doesn't work, bud. I need to know when you're coming back so I can tell my customer when you're coming back.
You have to maintain your leverage with these guys or they'll disappear.
Walk all over you.
They'll disappear.
Yeah. And I hate to say this but it is what it is. Sometimes being a woman in man's world is hard. Like when I worked at the dealership and I would have older gentlemen come in, they would ask to speak to me. And then I don't know if they didn't register that like maybe my first name wasn't Summer, but maybe that was my last name. And they would see that I was a woman, literally 180, and go to the next man that they would see to talk cars about.
Really?
And I'm like, did that just happen? Did I seriously just see that
Like,
happen?
dude, I own this place, bro. Like,
Right?
I think I know a thing or two about cars.
Yeah, it just blew my mind. Like, absolutely would blow my mind. And
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I get the same treatment. So
yeah,
I'm a
and I
dude.
hate to say even bring that up at all, because I don't
Yeah.
care. It doesn't, whatever. You are who you are. I don't care. But it's just crazy that people can have that, I don't know, stigmatism or
So how's it going now with the client? Are they,
there's
you got them under control? They're not raging on you yet?
no. And that's the thing. They've been so nice about it. And they just, when they called me this morning and I told them, I'm like, I'm going to be out there tomorrow morning. I'm bringing XYZ with me and we're going to figure this out. We're going to make Jackie happy and it's all going to be good. He goes, perfect. That's all I need to hear. So yeah.
Hopefully you can figure out a solution that is going to make Jackie happy.
That's the plan.
So here's the slippery slope, and this is, you'll learn this, and this is what we've had to learn the hard way. And I'm sure anybody who watches this video and is in the flooring industry will understand what I'm talking about. The problem is, when is enough enough?
Mm-hmm.
When have you done enough that you fulfilled your obligation, and now they're just nitpicking you, either just because that's their personality and they have unrealistic expectations of what this is supposed to look like, or we get this a lot, and I hate to say it, but a lot of people do it. They will complain at the end of the job because they want you to reduce the amount of money that they owe you.
Oh yeah.
It's unfair and it's poor taste, in my opinion. And usually, it's like the waiter or the, customer at a restaurant telling the waiter, they didn't like the meal to try to get like, 5% off or whatever.
Oh yeah.
People do that to us all the time. I have a client that I work with who has switched their model to taking all the payment up front.
Wow.
They get 100%. And I was like, well, how the heck are you doing that? And he had it all planned out and mapped out and responses. We did a role playing. He's like, yeah, I got you. And I was like, oh, okay, that seems reasonable. And I thought it was a great idea because they got the leverage at that point. You maintain leverage so that the client can't come back at the end and just nitpick you to death.
Right.
But again, it's a slippery slope of trying to figure out, sometimes they are real issues and you want to fix them and you want to make your client happy. But in the event that you can't make them happy, you got to be able to draw a line somewhere.
For sure.
And knowing when to draw that line and when you need to keep, going is sort of an art, and everybody in business has sort of a different approach and a different personality. But I think it's a valuable lesson that everybody needs to sort of figure out on their own, is like, all right, when have I done enough?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably a case by case basis, but something everybody should be prepared for, especially if they're new to the flooring industry.
Absolutely. And actually, it's funny you bring that up, because when I went over to the house the other night, they said, Summer, we want you to be honest with us. If we're being over the top, like have these expectations of what this is supposed to look like, and this isn't what it's supposed to look like, just tell us. Like, if we are nitpicking this, tell us. If this is the best it's supposed to be, then okay, we'll accept it. So that's why I wanted to bring in a second eye, having a Tyler look at it and say, and he even said, he's like, there can be little lips here and there, and that's going to be okay as long as it's a certain, amount of lip. If it's like way sticking up, obviously you don't want a tripping hazard. So they were very open to the idea of being told that this is it. This is the best. This is what it should look like. So at least I have that in my corner, because I feel like it could get to that point where they're just like, I don't like this, I don't like that. But I don't honestly think that they would throw the money part into it, just by the way they have been working with me and with the amount of money that they put forward. I mean, they gave me well over half of the job. So, I mean, it's just hard because you want to do so good and you want to help people and you want it to go smoothly. And when hiccups happen, you like lose your confidence a little bit too, because they just are like, we're believing in you, Summer, we're believing in you. And you're like, yeah, so am I. I'm trying.
I
I'm
know.
trying
Well,
not to drown.
I will say, that can come down to the personality of the owner too. I mean, like you, if you have good customer service skills and they feel like you're really putting an effort in and, you're going the extra mile to make sure they're happy and giving them the warm fuzzies. It's amazing how all of a sudden the things that were bothering them are less bothersome versus you get agitated, you get short with them,
Yeah.
you say, I'm done. I just want my money, things like that. And
Yeah.
what you've done then is you've created a more of a, conflict scenario where it's going to be, just turn into an ugly mess. And we've seen that as we've gone through it. There's different ways to handle things that can sort of smooth things over a little bit, and it does take a certain personality and a certain level of patience to deal with that. And I know if guys that have probably been in the flooring business a long time, they know when they've done a good job. They don't need the customer to tell them, like, this is what it's supposed to look like. I'm good. Like, we're done here. This is what I promised I would do. And that could be enough to keep the customer happy, but sometimes it's probably not going to be. So
Yeah.
it's sort of an interesting dynamic. But I'm sorry you had that issue, and I hope you get it worked out.
Thank you. I hope so too. I'm just crossing my fingers for tomorrow morning that we can come up with some kind of resolution and
Is that the
move
biggest
forward.
issue you've bumped into so far?
That is, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Tile is tricky.
Tile's super tricky, like super tricky. It just blows my mind. So, yeah, it might be a minute before I do tile again. No, I'm just kidding.
No more tile.
No.
Yeah, just kidding. Please send me tile jobs.
Right.
I love tile.
It's maybe it's because I want to be challenged. I don't know. But at the same time, I just would like it to go smoother with the installer side of it. Like I can getting the product and everything, getting it all together. I can handle those, like being short or something, being like having too much of something. I can handle that kind of stuff. But when the job isn't being done up to the expectations that were promised, that's the hard part.
So when you are in a sales meeting and you're trying to set expectations with the client, what's your approach?
Like I said, I just really like to build on having a relationship with them and getting to know them and know things about them. As far as like when I walk into a home, I really take in like what their house is, what it looks like. And, you can see maybe they're really into their grandchildren because they have pictures of them everywhere. So I like to ask them about their grandchildren. I just really like to get to know them on a personal level before I just jump in there and start tucking floors or anything.
Well, once you get to that part and you've got them closed and they've signed on and now it's time for the heavy work to begin, like how do you set those expectations of, hey, this is going to take X amount of days and, it's going to be a mess in the beginning and then we're going to, fix this in the end. Like I'm going to check in, 3 times a day to make sure everything's going okay. Like do you have a process for that? Yeah, I know you're still developing your business, but
yeah, and I'm probably still developing that process just because every job has been different. But what I have found is when I first start a job, I like to show up the same time my installers show up so that I can introduce my customer to my installer and let them, see who's working for me. And it's not just some Joe Schmo off of the street. And then I do like to pop in on the job and see how things are going and, keeping an eye on how things are going. If there's any problems that arise, I always tell my customers, just come to me, let me work with the problem. And that's one of the hard parts too, is having an installer in the house and the customer is there as well.
That's an important thing. And I want to sit on that point for a second. We give our installers explicit instructions. Don't talk to the customers.
Yeah.
Because they talk too much.
They do.
I got one guy who won't shut up.
Yeah.
He's good at doing floors when he shows up.
Yeah.
but he talks too much, and
Yeah.
it's become a problem. And so we're actually in the process of weeding him out. Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
But I
Like
mean,
seriously, that's an issue.
it's
Like with this
creating
tile
drama
guy,
within the business.
for sure.
And a lot of the things he's talking about is nothing's ever his fault. So essentially,
Yeah.
he's there throwing us under the bus, and we're not even there.
Right.
I'm like, dude, you work for me. You want to come get a check for me, yet you're talking shit about me to the client. Like,
Oh
no, you
yeah.
can't do that.
No. Or the thing I had with this installer was he wanted to talk bad about the product that they bought. And I hate to even talk like this, but he usually works with Home Depot products. Fine, great, great. Work with Home Depot products. But these products we brought in were more a little higher end, and they were different brands that he wasn't familiar with. And he was just like, I can't use this stuff. I don't like it. I don't want to use this. And I'm like, have you ever used it? Have you ever even tried it? And he just like threw everything that I brought and sold to my customer and was like, this is crap. This is all crap. You don't want this. You don't want that. And I'm just like, dude, you're killing me right now. Like, you're just slashing all the money I just made and throwing it out the window. Yep. Not his money. He don't care. Yeah. So that's a problem. Like when they're totally just throwing you under the bus. You're frozen, David.
Don't talk.
You were frozen forever. Yeah.
Oh, you're back. You know, you were frozen. I wonder
how
that
I
would
hope it
play
wasn't
out in the
making
video.
some weird
Which
face.
one of us is going to be frozen? I'm like, all right. So I'm going to hit on a few important points, and this would be great for you. This is the time where you get to come with the enthusiasm. So tell me a little bit about your business that makes you different. Like what is it, if you were sitting in front of a customer right now and trying to tell them how amazing Floor Coverings International is, like what would you say?
Well, for one, you deal with me from the beginning to the end. There's no, middlemen. There's no like you going out and having to go pick out samples and having to go to 100 different stores to find the exact piece of whatever product you're looking for. I come to you at your convenience. You get to shop right out of your own home. And I have over 3,000 plus samples that you can choose from. And I know that might sound a little overwhelming. Of course, we'll narrow it down to whatever, the customer is wanting, deciding on if they want hard floors or if they want soft surface floors, just depending. So I have all of that right at your fingertips. And then once we start the job, I handle the installers. I handle the crew that comes in. I handle what I have is a white glove cleaning service that I offer to all my customers. So after the job is done, they come in, they clean the entire house. And it's like having a brand new home because you have new floors, it's clean, and it's super nice to have that done. And then I come back in about 10 days after the floor has been installed, and I do my happy walk is what I call it, and just make sure everything's still looking good and you're happy with everything. And then it's over. We're totally finished. And it's literally, if there's anything that's going on, if you have a question, if you have an idea, if you have a problem, you come to me. You don't have to make an 800 phone call and push 5 buttons to get a hold of a person that doesn't know what your job is. And you just call me directly. Like I give out my personal cell phone. You can call me, you can text me, whatever works like is most convenient for the customer. And that's what I'm really about, is being convenient for the customer.
That's great. Customers like convenience.
Oh yeah.
And pretty floors. I like the happy walk concept. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that way.
And then you give it 10 days. So how's that gone so far? What's your experience with that?
It's gone great. I mean, with the 10-day walk, I also like to ask them to do like a little selfie photo with me. And then I kind of post it and I take pictures of their photos and stuff, or their floors. And then I ask them for a review.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know what else would be cool? A little video testimonial, maybe?
Like it. Yeah.
You could do that. We can post-produce it, and that would make for some pretty powerful content. We'll put a little graphics on there and edit it down to, make it digestible for somebody watching it, that'd be awesome. Video testimonials
Yeah.
are terrific.
Yeah. I'll
Very
for
good
sure
for
do
business.
that.
All right, cool. Well, we're all set. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me for a little while and answer some questions. I hope I didn't put you on the hot seat. You didn't look like you started sweating or anything. You looked like
Oh,
you stayed calm and cool and collected the whole
see
time.
the red? I'm turning red.
Oh, now the nerves kick in, huh?
Yeah. After the
Right.
fact.
Yeah.
Now that you
seem
tell me
super
you're
good.
going to make it all jazzy and everything.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's how we roll. It's all jazzy
Yeah.
up in here.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for coming on and chatting with me, and we'll look forward to catching up.
Thanks.
You have
See
a
you
great
later.
day. All right,
You
bye-bye.
too.